All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to do one challenge in Python. We're going to write some test specs for it. And then we're going to do another challenge in JavaScript and write some test specs for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a file. What was the Armstrong numbers? So let me bring up Armstrong. Armstrong number is an n-digit number that is equal to the sum of the n powers of its digits. An example of all single-digit numbers, take 5 for example, is a single-digit 1 to the exponent, or 5 to the exponent of 1, is equal to 5. Therefore, it is an Armstrong. So for someone who, let's go down. So for 3, we're going to break out that digit into 3 separate elements, and what is it? Yeah, lift it to the exponent of itself, or of the length of the original number. So what's the first thing we're gonna do? I'm just gonna do some pseudocode. Yep. So what's the first step? Who solved it already? Let's talk through your thought process. Right. Function that takes a number. What's another step? So once we have that number, what do we do?
Check its length.
How do we check the length of a number?
Convert it to string. There. I'm going to do it.
Convert length of number. Okay. Who's got their code up right now that's solved it?
I just remember how I did it. So first, before I check the length of the number string, what you have to do is you have to take each digit and you have to basically raise it to the power of the length of the actual number, correct? That means you're gonna have to split the numbers into digits anyway. But that's what I did first. I took the number, changed it to a string, and after that I split the string, and then so you have an array of each digit.
So you convert to a number, you take a function that takes in a number, you convert the number to the string.
And then I split the string, and then I work from there. So that you end up having an array of the numbers.
So check the length of the string. So you split the string.
I didn't check the length until a little bit further.
So I'm going to check the length of the string first and see if the length of the string is greater than 1. And then at that point, I'd split the string into its own arrays. Right? If string is string length one split string. Next.
Don't we want to make sure it's actually a number?
So I've got like an if statement. If string.
I don't think they can hear you.
The length of the array as x. Oh, yeah. They need a variable to hold the exponent value.
Would you need to if you already established it right there in 4? Could you just pull it that way? Would you actually need to look at it?
Well, let's just say let's make a variable.
We also need a variable for the total once you, because you have
Okay. Where do we want to make the total at?
we want to first.
Would that be the same thing?
The
total number of, you mean the total for the.
So like once you actually
Oh,
perform,
right.
like the,
I did it JavaScript, I did it way different.
So, Marcos, let's walk through your.
let me make sure I actually did it in Python. It might have been. Yeah, never mind.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't really.
Sorry.
You guys did it in JavaScript?
Yeah, so
Did everyone do it in JavaScript?
No.
Okay, let's walk through your logic.
So.
Write a function that takes in a number.
Yep.
So what you do?
And we store the number of digits, copy the number of digits.
How'd you calculate there? So
We take the length and the case. So we look at it as one operation.
okay. So I mean, it's okay if it's all done in one operation, but like, what are the steps?
Convert to a string.
Cool.
Check the length to a string.
There we go. Then what?
Then I created a variable to store the sum.
So I'm not divided by it. Okay.
And then we have this kind of for each character in the string representation.
So for each pair.
Loop through these string representations. Loop through by characters. By characters.
Value. Okay. And then converted that number back into, converted that element back into a number. String by. And then
For each, or looking through raise each value to the calculated string length.
so you
Create a sum to or add to already created the sum.
right.
Add
So-
to sum.
The number
Number to
raised to the length of the. So what data type is this variable? Int. Isn't the Armstrong numbers in a returned array? I recall. So we want the overall value of an array.
Yes.
we're creating a inside the loop. Creating a empty array, and then we get the function doesn't kick in, the function kicks in.
Okay. Array.
And then for each, and then loop through array for each, and then within each loop there is.
Okay. We still want a sum.
We're gonna have two different answers that we're gonna have to check for. The answer is the final array that we're returning. Sum is for each number what kind of sum is it.
So loop through. Go back. Create a variable to store the sum.
To store it.
And we want to loop through that array.
So because each one is created, we're adding each one separate. So the first variable we're creating is to store the answer. What we're returning. So return array. Create a variable to store for the return array.
Okay, there we go. Great. Cool. Then,
Loop through input array.
okay,
Or you can that's going through in the input array, we're looking through it. For each value in the input array, we use the things that we're
okay. So in the loop, we'll have an if statement. If the string, if the
convert it to string.
There we go. convert elements into a string. A string length is greater than 1, split the string. Is that correct?
Yep.
Loop through the string by value. Convert that value back into an integer, a number. Add that sum.
So for each in the loop, convert the element to the string and then create a variable sum.
I'm sorry.
After convert element or after loop through the array, create an element.
Element.
Not the string, loop through the array. Not through. So after one through, create variable sum.
Create variable sum as an integer. Okay.
So that's each group of my value, put my value, add to sum, and then number type one.
Okay. And then just keep looping.
So when done with looping through the string, compare sum to the other one, or to
Done looping through the string. Compare sum to
array value.
the array element.
Yeah.
And then if
True, or if equal,
if
and
equals
and
the sum
and number two output array,
number to output array.
which we didn't actually label it on.
Cool. And then just return the array. Go through it. Jeff, what is called Armstrong numbers?
I know, so
So it's in an array. Create a variable array. So answer. Okay. Right. How do I loop through an array? For what's the next step? Sum equals 0. All right. So now convert element into a string. Is that right? How do I convert the element into a string? Like that. And now is element a string throughout the rest of the application?
For the comparison, I'll convert it back.
Okay, if the element dot length, or what is it length?
Oh, yeah.
Is it greater than 1?
Yep.
Next. For Mr. Is that it? Convert the string, convert that value back into that number. How do I convert a string into a number? Right? Is everyone with me so far?
We didn't store the length, so we have to go back up.
We have to go back up there.
After string elements, one line there. Len element, or so length equals len element.
Length
Length equals.
like that.
Yep. Because we will need to use the length inside.
Okay, perfect. All right, convert back into a number. I'm sorry, where I'm at. The string is greater than 1, split the string.
Sum plus equals.
Sum plus equals
Val. Star.
right?
Yep, although I already see two places where we're gonna not just str element doesn't convert the element itself into.
Right. So it's probably just like, what do we want to call this?
We can
Store.
use the same variable.
So
Yep. And val equals val.
now what?
I want to count that by 2. That's where we're at our if. If sum double equals.
What is the number? Is the element a string right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we also will have to cover the case for the length of the element.
The length of the element is correct. So
Which we should do before we do that.
you're at the very top. The element
Double equals. Figure out and out.
Okay.
And let's do the exact same on the lines on that.
Like so.
Yep.
And then what? Test it out. How do we test this out? Just like, let's run it right now. Do they give you like an actual array, like 1,000?
There's
Do what is it? List range 0, comma 999. Let's run this Python. All right. Yeah, that's true. Cool. Does anybody have any questions with regards to like how we found this?
The zero count.
Does zero count?
I
Zero
think,
counts twice.
yeah, it's counted twice. Also, like, would you just have to adjust the range of your
To include 1,000?
no, not to include 1,000, but to
Well, the test is always what
yeah, I don't think zero. Was zero included?
Zero is
about
included.
Armstrong numbers. You don't
Yeah,
multiply
yeah,
it
yeah.
like zero anyway. So did you get 2 zeros in your Armstrong numbers?
No, I thought you were doing a slightly different way. I did not convert all of them.
What's that?
I figured these zeros come up there, just take it as a blank value for me.
Delete the 0 right
No,
here.
the sum is the sum.
Is there like a way to just say it's like a number? You know, in Python? Like,
I think in Python you can create empty variables.
no.
That's what you would do.
Wait, what are you doing?
Is there a way to use that?
That's fine, it works.
Is there a blank, the blank variable?
Oh,
Oh, you're missing the 3, 7. What? You want to put it outside the loop? Yeah, that would make that. Any element you want this sum to start at 0. What are we trying to get?
Armstrong numbers.
Whatever you get.
That's like basically you take the length of the number and you raise it to that power, so it still equals the number that's Armstrong. And I looked this up to see if it had any kind of application, and it does not. It's just like a number.
Wish I had my answer.
But people did get that, yeah. People tell me what it's about, right?
Yes.
I can't get the remote people on here.
Oh. We can't hear it?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can't hear them.
Harris.
They can hear us, but let's just go jump right into writing test specs for the for Python right now. So I'm just going to create a new test spec file. Okay.
And
Oh, I see what it is. I can use it. Yes, some of the element. We should only append it.
now it's right.
So indent 1, 27, 28,
Like so. 36. I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out. Python, fine. I'm line 36.
Well, when you change it to 9, I thought that's the same.
Yeah. So line 26 plus equals value.
There we are.
Cool. Why did we?
By indenting or without indenting it, we were
Oh,
calling the appending place on 0.
we're just going to go in and code the test specs.
Yeah, it's okay if we, I got a question about how we push this up, making our own test specs, if that's okay with that. Or can we do that? Or do you want us to just delete everything in the original spec file that we get off again and put our own specs in there?
Yeah. Like, this is what you'll see in like the normal. Let's see if Armstrong numbers, import. Let's just run this spec file right now. True, true, true. I'm actually delete this print. All right. I'm just gonna use those as reference to pass in. Import. What was it? Unit test. I'm gonna bring up the curriculum real quick to see. From the curriculum for the test spec to see what the architecture kind of looks like. That yesterday. So we're going to want a class. With the name in all capital letters of stuff like what the function what you're testing. You're going to pass in unit.test case. So unit test is what the library we're importing, and test case is like a built-in method within that library. And also, as we go down here, assert equal is as well. If you look down here, click this. Here are all like the other built-in methods that you have that you can utilize when you import unit test. Assert equals, assert not equals, assert false. These are all the things you can kind of utilize to test specific values of your method, of the method you're testing.
I have a question. So are we using the assert equal because like in your specs you already have this is valid or this is not valid, so we're just checking that?
Is why we're specifically using assert equals.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially what you're testing your method by throwing in a parameter, and you want to test what that equals when when your function is ran.
It equals your this is valid.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So let's utilize this as our like framework for writing this first test bed. So class Armstrong numbers test case. We're going to utilize unit test. And within here, we're going to define our test cases. So how do I define a test case?
Triple quote. Or
Well, we can, yeah, use triple quotes to say like testing, Armstrong numbers method. And then we're going to write our first test case. The test case is essentially just another method that you're going to be writing. So test returns list, because we initially want to return a list. Like regardless of what we return, we want to make sure that we return a list. So in here, we're just going to define like a little more specific of what this test actually is running. Test returns method Armstrong numbers returns a list. What's going on there? Okay, hold on. Where did that? Sorry, just want to get to the right. So here we want to do self.assert equals, that's that built-in method in the unit test library that we're going to utilize. We're going to type in type. How do you find the type of a data structure of whatever a function returns? Just type. Then we're going to invoke the Armstrong numbers. Find Armstrong numbers. So, range, what was it, 0 to 999. And then we can actually like put in anything here. It can just be like, yeah. And then we have to worry about, there we go, then list. Does that make sense? Or did I, are all the parentheses correct? Oh, there we go. Thank you. So that's a, and then we're also going to have to import, not import, just copy and paste this if name dot equals main. Let's just make sure the unit test runs. So let's run this test spec. Python Armstrong numbers. See what happens. Failed. What happened? Takes 1 or 3 arguments. So yeah, there's something. This type 5 minutes. There we go. Yep. See if that works. Yeah, that works. Okay, that's our first test bed. Cool. Now we can like use the other test specs up here as like a reference point of what we should be testing and the expected output. So do test returns 0 when input 0. That doesn't work. Test return 0. Just do that. List of literally just copy and paste. Returns 0. And then just we don't need this type anymore because we're not testing the type of what's returned. We're just invoking the function. Uh-oh. Did I do something too quick? Yep. There we go. Does anybody you want to monitor the?
I was checking it. I was checking it already.
Get Slack on here, so I can't.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, it's right here. All right, cool. So that's how you do a high-level overview of test specs in Python. go over to Jess. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because we didn't actually cover it yesterday, where we have to npm install and do that kind of stuff. So, what challenge have you guys completed in JavaScript that you want to test?
Number pairs? Some pairs? They suck at yours.
So we don't have to do any challenges that we did yesterday specifically. You just, anybody have remote?
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Want to just let's write? You want to write some? Let's go over. Go over anagrams or. So we're going to go over anagrams right now. If you haven't gotten to this yet, it's okay. But we're just going to do this one in JavaScript. And let's see if we can just do it on the fly. I'll look at it. So what is an anagram?
Anagram is two words that have just the same characters, even if they're not in the same order.
Cool. So yeah, it's like like you just said, two elements or two strings that are of the same length that have the exactly same types of characters in them. We're going to try to solve this without utilizing the sort method. So I'm going to create a anagrams.js file. I'm going to open it up. The code. All right. Has anybody actually solved this yet?
Yes.
Good.
I'm pretty sure.
Did you do that?
Do we do it in Python or do we do it in JavaScript?
Okay. Well, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to create a function that takes in two strings. What data types did you guys utilize to solve this?
Strings.
Strings and lists? All right, well, I'm going to solve it a little bit differently. So,
Or do you mean dictionary? Yeah.
so I'm going to utilize a dictionary to keep track of each string or each element in the string. So, or yeah, an object. Thank you. So for like the string of A, B, C, D, I'm going to create an object of A, B, C, and D. And the value of each of these is going to be the quantity, how many exist in this string. So in this case, there's 1, 1, 1. So I'm going to do that for string 1. And then for string 2, do this. Create an object for each string. Then I'm going to loop through the first string and create a key value, a key of the element, and store in the value for the quantity. Yep.
In the where it shows you what the problem is, and it has like the list. It actually has it's not case sensitive, so maybe. But
It's not case sensitive.
It's not case sensitive, so maybe maybe converting everything into uppercase.
Convert everything. Convert string to, I'm going to do lowercase. Now, loop through a string. I'm going to add each element as a key value. I'm going to do the same loop through the second string. I'm sorry, I'm not going to create an object for each string, just one string. There we go. I'm going to create an object. That. And for when I loop through the second string, what do you think I should be doing? Yeah, I'm going to essentially loop through the existing object and check to see if the element exists. And if it does, I'm going to subtract 1. And if it doesn't exist, I'm going to add to it.
So basically what you were looking for is an object that has 0.
Loop through a string and compare key values in existing object. Then I'm going to create an if statement. If key exists, then subtract 1. If key doesn't exist, add to the object. So at the very end, I'm going to loop through the object and ensure that each key has a value of 0. If any key has a value of plus or minus, like has a value other than 0, and 0. If true, return true. If false.
What's the point of adding more to it?
Without, when you're looping through the second string, and if
I guess it's, you always want it to be 0, so what does that mean?
So I think what you're asking is why when you encounter a letter that didn't exist in the first string, why you add another object?
because you're comparing both strings, you want to make sure this string is an anagram of this string, this string is an anagram of this string. But like what's, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Function and anagrams, string 1, string 2. So what's the first like test case? I didn't cover this in the pseudocode, but
Don't you want to just start out with making sure it's string 1, string 2 is same enough? Otherwise, you want to start out with
yep, string equals string 2 does not equal. Is 1?
Don't you want to account for blank spaces?
Do they want us to return the value or just return true or false?
Oh yeah, they can't hear us.
And I'm not sure if you have to account for blank spaces.
It says false.
Yeah, you do for the challenge question on this.
Let's run this and just test it out.
Basically, what I mean is you're getting rid of blank spaces, basically joining it.
So yeah. All right, cool. Now, we move up here. Let's create an object. Let answer equals object. You don't need those, that colon or semicolon. So let's loop through the first array, or first string. Let I equals 0, I less than string 1 dot length, I plus plus. So if, what is it? If object dot string, the value of string I exists, we're going to object string I equals plus equals 1, or just plus plus. Should do that. So what I'm doing is adding the key value right now. Is that right? String 1.
Is object the same thing as the answer variable?
Oh, yeah, sorry. You are correct. Oh, that's not right. Let's just run this, and actually let's return just console log the object for the answer. Right. Whoop.
Oh, STR1.
Oh, there we go. 2. Oh. So there we go. Now we want to do a for loop. What was the pseudocode? Loop through the second string and compare values in existing object. Key object exists, subtract 1. If key does not exist, add to the object. Do another for loop. Let J. So when you're doing for loops, you kind of don't want to utilize I multiple times in a variable. If J 0 is less than string 2 dot length, J plus plus. If answer
Also, really copy the same code from the file, except we-
like so.
so it's going to-
See what this does. Let's run it.
Oh, don't you want to add?
String I. Sweet. Right? Yeah. So let's see, let's do one that doesn't work. G. Oh,
Change the.
so they're same length, but they are not an anagram. One and not a number. That's
I
why.
think it's because instead of adding,
Oh,
you said
yeah.
you wanted to add to it. So in that case, it would just be equals 1, right? Because if it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, sorry. There we go. I'll do it one more time. So now This is not an anagram. So how do we loop through an object and
Yeah, you could do just 4 element.
like for like that?
Yeah.
Answer.
Or you can do char answer.
Yep. So console log element.
Yeah, so yeah, so you have to do
Answer.
brackets,
Element. Cool. So in here we'll do if answer element does not equal 0, return false. Else return true. Well,
Because the first one,
oh yeah.
yeah, you're right.
yeah, why not?
I would just return to the first case person.
Not yet. So do a counter. This will work? No, because if it hits this first element, it doesn't equal true, it's going to return false. I guess that's true, because that means it's not an anagram.
Yeah, or not, if it hits any one.
Anyone like that will return true. So the first one is the 0.
It doesn't need to return anyway.
I want you to move your return true to after it's 0.
Could do that.
So,
Multiple ways to do everything. Why does it return true?
Because the first element is going to be 0. So it's automatically going to say true, then it's returned.
There we go.
there you return.
Call false. Let's do one that works.
Try the challenge.
That's the challenge has spaces in it.
Ah, shit. But that's so easy to get rid of.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You just split the string and then whenever you rejoin it back together, you get this space.
True. So in yeah, so there's one. Oh, these are so like right here. This one. So let's convert. We can convert them. All to the lowercase and remove. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's what we did. And so that way you could just do it in
That's
one
fine
line.
right now. So let's write a test spec. I'm not going to go over how to solve it with the wrong sentence. You can use built-in methods to figure that out yourself. Remove these console logs. Okay. All right, let's create another file, touch anagrams. Spec.js. Code Actually, create another folder. We'll actually create another folder for anagrams for the JS one. I'm going to move. How do I do move? Is it MV and the file name JS to the anagrams folder. Cool. CD into the anagrams folder. There are JS files. That's it. Deleted. Open up anagrams. So we're gonna install Jest. Has anybody used Jest yet?
Try. Should we do it the same?
So you can just follow along, or just like watch up here. So npm install Jest. Is that right? Look at it. You guys want to take a quick break?
That'd be great.
All right, let's do a quick break. Then we'll come back and actually do Jest test files.
Does it matter what directory we install Jest in?
Be back. What time is it? Oh, be back at 11:20.